I think this film, like all films, is more than just entertainment. The actions the characters take and the way the plot flows implies things about how the world really is. Welcome to The Heart of Film, the show where we go behind the ideas of some of your favorite films and TV shows, revealing how the heart shapes the art. I'm your host, Rene Fortier, and today we take a look at Mission Impossible 4: Ghost Protocol.
The entire IMF has been disavowed. If any one of your team is caught, they will be branded terrorists out to incite global nuclear war.
So what happens now?
So what do I mean by the heart of a movie? Well, I believe that all movies have a heart to them, the deepest core from which all the other parts of the film flow, whether it's the lighting, the storytelling, the acting, the cinematography, the sound design. It all comes from a central core of the film. You might be thinking this is the film's story, and on one level, I'd say you're right. The screenplay is sort of like the instruction manual for the film, but if we go a layer deeper than the screenplay itself comes from the screenwriters, and it's shaped by the director. And those people themselves are shaped by the worldview or the set of ideas and beliefs that they hold about the world. And all those elements together form what I would call the heart of the film. Spoiler alert, I will be revealing some spoilers, so I really recommend that you watch the movie before watching this video if you haven't already. Mission Impossible is a series that follows super spy Ethan Hunt as he somehow manages each movie to save the world from another nail-biting doomsday threat. In this film, Ethan and his buddies Benji and Jane infiltrate the Kremlin to get information on a terrorist known as Cobalt. But Cobalt, who we discover is nuclear strategist Kurt Hendricks, is one step ahead of them, and before you know it, the Kremlin has exploded. The US president has initiated Ghost Protocol, cutting ties with Ethan and all his super spy friends at the IMF, and the team is on their own. Now the clock is ticking. Can Ethan stop Cobalt from using a set of nuclear launch codes to incite global nuclear war? Not unless he climbs some really tall buildings, does some kick-ass stunts, and learns to rely on his team.
We have to do it together.
So overall, my first impressions of this film is that it was just fantastic. I loved it. My inner 12-year-old was very happy with this movie. I wanted to run around and pretend to be a spy. Brad Bird, this is his directorial debut in terms of live action movies. Brad Bird has directed some of my other favorite films like The Incredibles, which in my mind is the greatest animated film of all time, and Ratatouille, which is another fantastic film. There were a few key moments that I wanted to draw out. First of all, I love the scene near the midpoint of the film where the team is recovering from getting scattered. They've been put into Ghost Protocol, and now they're in this special spy vehicle with all the spy gizmos and stuff like that. And they're watching this video recording of the bad guy, Kurt Hendricks.
How will the world finally end? It is my job to predict the unthinkable. I look to Hiroshima, Nagasaki.
I'll be waiting for your call.
Thriving cities, rebuilt from the ashes, monuments to the unimaginable, dedicated to the concept of peace. It occurred to me here that nuclear war might have a place in the natural order.
I love what it shows about the bad guy. The worldview of the bad guy is awesome. I find movies where the bad guy is just this kind of mustache twirling, tying girls to railroad tracks sort of villain, those aren't as compelling to me as films where you can tell that the bad guy really believes that what they're doing is the right thing. Movies like, Thanos in Infinity Wars, where he earnestly believes that he has to wipe out half the population in order to stop ecological collapse from happening across the universe. You can tell that these bad guys have been so captured by the worldview that has shaped them. They think good is evil and evil is good. They're driven by the desire to do what they think is good, and that makes them really scary, in my opinion. Another thing I love about this scene is that I think it's a great example of Ethan's character. It just demonstrates really strong leadership.
The four of us and the contents of this car are all that remain of the IMF. And as of this moment, any action is unsanctioned. So if you want out, Speak now.
I feel like we don't see enough really good leaders, healthy leaders in films. And I love how he's able to speak to the heart of his teammates, not kind of sugarcoat the facts, but say like, hey, look, I know this is dark. You're gonna have to step up big time here. And he manages to rally them around this good cause of saving the world from impending nuclear disaster. I got a little dust in my eyes watching the scene. I think it really connected to my heart. Definitely my favorite moment in this film was where Ethan has this showdown in this car park garage with the bad guy Hendrix at the end of the film. The climax moment there where Ethan says,
I'm taking that briefcase.
And then the bad guy jumps to his death in order to prevent him from getting the case. Ethan climbs in this BMW. Thank you to BMW's amazing crash safety system, not so subtle product placement in there. We see Ethan being willing to go the ultimate length. I love that about this character in Mission Impossible, how focused he is on his mission. He's like ruthlessly, doggedly, from the heart, never give up, determination. Where does that come from? You know, to have such like passionate intensity towards fighting evil and advancing a cause that like doesn't even personally benefit them. Jesus. Like Ethan's character was totally committed and focused to a mission from day one, from growing up. He was bent on saving the world, even though it would require him to pay the ultimate cost. Because of that, I think the Christian worldview best grounds this sort of heroism in stories. Heroes like Ethan's character who believe in something bigger than themselves that's worth fighting for. It also is one of the only worldviews that grounds the existence of objective morality, because there's a God in the Christian worldview who is the ultimate lawgiver. It gives a reason for why there really is objective good and objective evil, and we really can look at people like the Nazis and say, no, that's actually wrong and we should fight that. God is like an outside perspective that's not just an individual human being who is the standard from which all morality flows. I am not saying that only Christians can do good things and sacrifice for people. I know that there's many people who make sacrifices who aren't Christians. I'm just saying that as like a system of thought, of ideas, the Christian worldview best expresses and explains that ethos. Now, personally, I'm not a hero, but I also have a mission. That's why this whole YouTube channel is called Epic Mission Media, because I'm passionate about making movies and learning to be a better filmmaker. And that's why I'm on this journey of watching films and understanding the ideas behind them. So please leave me a comment and let me know what you're watching at the moment and if you have any recommendations of what I should cover in episode 2. Until next time, I'm Rene Fortier, and this is The Heart of Film.